do a little WCW speed round. I'll mention a guy. Give me the first thing that comes in your head. It could be one word. It could be a story. It could be whatever you want. We'll just
All right.
rapid fire. Sound good?
Hopefully I know him.
Scott Steiner.
Scott Steiner, good dude, man. He gets a bad rap, man. He likes to keep to himself, but people take that the wrong way. He befriended me in Australia and WCW, and I hung out with him when we were over there with the WWA, and super nice guy, man. Nothing bad to say about Scotty Steiner. He's a top-notch guy, even though he's from Michigan.
Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan. Oh, dude, that dude was a card. Let's just leave it at that. We'd go to like some, always clown around. I don't think I ever seen that guy serious. Never. We'd go to baseball games. He'd make fun of everybody. Like, I mean, dude, it was obnoxious, but it was funny at the same time. But only Bobby Heenan could have got away with what he was saying to people. But he was unbelievable. So he was one of my baseball watching buddies.
Mean Gene.
Mean Gene, good guy. The only thing I really remember about Mean Gene is he was always talking about getting drunk. Mean Gene liked to have a good time, and pretty much every time that I didn't see him, if I saw him at the bar at the hotel, he was drinking. When I saw him backstage, he was talking about drinking. But he was a good guy to be around, always positive and joke around. But he was also one of those guys. If you ask him a serious question, he would help you out as good as he could. So Mean Gene was a damn good dude, man.
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall, you know what? I didn't know Scott Hall that well at all. Met him a couple times, very briefly. For as well as I knew Kevin Nash, I didn't know Scott Hall very much at all.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, what word do I want to use for Ric Flair? Because I was always good friends with David Flair, and David Flair's wedding, there was reception and stuff. Rick was there, but he always kind of, I went to a Chicago Blackhawks game with Ric Flair and David and Scotty Oberhausen. He was a WCW guy. And Rick was always just kind of hung out with the more crowd that people knew, the more popular people, you know what I mean? But he was a real nice guy. You go to the bar and he'd buy you a drink. I remember when over in Australia, he was on the phone arguing with his wife. You could hear he was on one of them damn satellite phones because, this was back in 99, 2000 when nobody had cell phones really. So he's talking, you could hear his wife screaming. We were in a hotel one night. I do remember this. WCW paid for everything. The only thing you paid for was like incidentals. If you got a bottle of water out of the refrigerator. So his bill for one night, you want to take a guess what it was?
Drinks, all that?
Yeah.
$1,000.
$4,000. One night. And him and his wife were arguing on the bus. He's like, "Oh, honey, it's all right. Calm down." Yeah. But that's just
$4,000
for one night. And that's what I remember about Ric Flair. Just always, always wanting to have a good time. He was a rock star, bro. Rock star in the wrestling business.
Yeah. Hogan.
I got on my wall over here. When I was a senior in high school, Mike, I caught his Hulk Roll shirt at the Richfield Coliseum.
Oh, wow.
In Cleveland, Ohio. Well, it was
That's
Richfield,
awesome.
Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. Flash forward to 20, however long, 15, 17 years later, he signs my shirt for me when I work with him. But the first time I ever met him, I met him down in Columbus, Georgia at a house show, the first house loop I was ever on. He was in the hallway with his son, Nick, playing catch with a ball. So, of course, he was my idol, growing up. And he was the reason I got into wrestling. He's the reason I wanted to be a wrestler. He's the reason I watched wrestling. So I walk up to him, not really even nervous. I just wanted to acknowledge it. He was in the hallway. So I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, Huckster, what's up, man?" I said, "My name's Allan Funk." I said, I'm out of the power play at my first house show. I said, "I just wanted to introduce myself to you." And he's like, "Hey, brother," he shook my hand. He goes, "Hey, this is little Nick right here, and cool as shit." He sat there and he goes, "How's everything going for you?" And nicest dude, at the time. And, I was nobody. He could have treated me like shit, but he didn't. And, every time I saw him after that, he was always real nice, shook my hand, said, "Hey, brother," and Always a cool dude. But I didn't ask him to sign my shirt. I asked Molly Holly to do it because she was good friends with him, and I didn't want to feel like I was a fucking mark. So, so I wish I would have asked him to sign it, looking back on it. But hell, I don't even take selfies with people because I'm afraid to ask them for selfies. In the age of, yeah, everybody does it. And I still don't do it because up there in Nashville, dude, I could have got selfies with all kinds of people. And actually, I wanted to do a selfie with Vicky Guerrero because that was the first time I met Vicky Guerrero at Flair's last match. And I told her the story, like me and Eddie meeting and how we always interacted, and told her I loved her husband. And, you know, she was real grateful for all the kind words I said about Eddie. So it was kind of cool. And I would have liked to have a picture with her, but I didn't want to ask her. I didn't want to bother her, you know?
Molly Holly didn't just sign it, Hulk Hogan.
Well, if she did, that's the biggest work in the wrestling business. No, because I actually saw his autographs and it's his.
That's awesome.
So, because we were in the power plant at the time, and I said, hey, Nora, I said, you think I'm afraid to ask him to sign this shirt? But I told her the story. I said, hey, I got this when I was a senior in high school. And, you know, I told her everything. And she's like, oh, that would be awesome. And Nora, I don't know if you know Molly Holly, but she's one of the greatest people. Super nice, grounded, you know, she's like a blue collar worker, don't mind getting her hands dirty, will do anything for you. And yeah, she took it to Hulk and he signed it for me, which I'm grateful for, because it's, you know, it would have meant more if I would have asked him to do it, but I was just too big of a puss. Well, I didn't want to come across like a bark and be a dumbass, you know what I mean?
Last one, how about Sting?
Sting, never got along with Sting, never cared for him. I'll tell you why. When we were doing that Russo Bischoff security, well, actually, right before we started doing that, we were still working security for WCW. So Doug Dillinger and them guys tell me, Sting's going through the crowd. We want you to go with him and make sure nobody jumps on him. And, you know, if people try to jump on him, you know, get them away from him. So I walked out there and I said, hey, Sting, I'm Allan. I'm from the power plant. Dillinger sent me out here. And everybody knew Doug Dillinger. And I said, Doug sent me out here to walk you through the crowd. He's like, I don't need you to walk me through the fucking crowd. I can handle it. And I was like, I said, well, fuck you then. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking it. And I had to still walk out there with him. People were grabbing him. I didn't give a shit if someone had kicked him in the balls. I would have loved it. I would have said, fuck it. I wouldn't have helped him do shit after that. So that was my interaction with Sting. And, you know, other than that, just passing by the hallway, to me, he always acted like he was better than everybody at the time. Maybe he changed, I don't know, but he was, for lack of a better word, a dick to me, and he was a dick every time I saw him, to be honest with you.